Hi, let's talk a little bit today about duties of the president. We looked at what the president's qualifications are. What are his or her jobs? One of the first orders of business is head of state. The president represents the United States. The president represents the United States to foreign countries. The president may go to England and have dinner with the prime minister. The president may negotiate a treaty somewhere. The president may also perform ceremonial functions like pardoning the Thanksgiving turkey, or like laying a wreath at Arlington Cemetery at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Various ceremonies. The president is sort of the head American, and he does various ceremonial functions, both here and abroad to that extent. The president also is chief executive. He is in charge of enforcing the laws of Congress. This is through his cabinet and his executive agencies that you're going to learn more about down the road. But the president sets a very large budget to control all kinds of agencies, such as the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Defense, the Department of Interior, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Education. And these different agencies and cabinet official posts all work in concert, hopefully, supposedly, to enforce the laws of Congress and to enforce the laws of the nation. The president is also one of the chief legislatures. Now, he's not in Congress, so he can't necessarily vote on bills and write bills and pass them on his or her own. But the president tends to propose ideas to Congress, tends to talk to allies in Congress and get them to propose certain ideas and certain things that he wants to have happen. A great example of this would be Obamacare. It's called Obamacare, but President Obama can't write a law, but he can help craft it, and then someone in Congress can propose it. Another, obviously very important job of the president is commander-in-chief. The top person in the U.S. military is a civilian, is an elected person, not a military general. That's a pretty good idea. That gives elected officials control of the military as opposed to the military itself. However, the president listens to the military on strategy and on ideas, and the president doesn't always give the necessary top order. He may tell the military to come up with a plan for a particular course of events, and then the military it's up to them to execute the plan. But it's important to remember that the president is always the top person when it comes to the military. He's the commander-in-chief. And the president cannot declare war, although he can use the military to protect U.S. assets for a limited time. We'll talk more about that down the road. Another job of the president is to appoint executive department officials, judges, and ambassadors. So all the different cabinet level officials that we're going to talk about, the head of the Department of Education, the Secretary of Agriculture, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of Defense, those are appointed by the president. The president appoints Supreme Court justices, as you can see here with Amy Coney Barrett. The president appoints ambassadors, people that go represent our country to other countries, to other foreign powers. So this power of appointment is pretty important too. Now, obviously, there's a check on this, right? The president can't appoint different officials without the Senate confirming them. All federal judges, not just the Supreme Court, are appointed by the president too, and that's an important thing to remember. What else does the president do? Again, as chief diplomat, this is part of that role of state. The president will negotiate treaties, appoint ambassadors, meet with heads of state, and negotiate deals. Again, when you are negotiating a treaty, keep in mind that the Senate gets to approve that treaty. The president can't make a treaty arbitrarily. So in other words, if President Trump were to negotiate a nuclear deal with Iran, it would have to be signed off by the Senate, which is exactly what Obama did with the first Iranian nuclear deal. Other duties. What does the president do? Again, just keep in mind that proposing legislation, setting the budget, propose economic policy. If there's a pandemic or a recession, the president may propose a tax cut, may be able to do certain things where they cut payroll taxes or reduce paycheck taxes for the short term. The president is top citizen. The president is able to and should be able to go out and talk to the American people, give them guidance, give them support, give them direction. For example, during the Great Depression, Franklin Delano Roosevelt would give fireside chats sort of telling the American people what was going on and trying to encourage them. That's, I think, an important role of the president. That's not necessarily set in the Constitution. The president does have to give the State of the Union address. That's done annually. The Constitution specifies from time to time. Another job the president does is issue pardons and reprieves. A pardon is pretty interesting. A pardon is where the president says you're forgiven of your crime. We're going to wipe your slate clean. If you're in jail, you're allowed to get out, or in prison, you're allowed to get out, and you're allowed to pursue life. A reprieve is a little different. A reprieve is, for example, if someone was in prison for a crime and then they, I don't know, had a sick relative and the president said, okay, we're going to give you a break. It's sort of like a little timeout from your sentence. It's going to give you a break, and they'll let you take care of that relative for a year, and maybe you have to finish your crime or finish your sentence after that, or perhaps after your conviction, they'll give you a year off to get your affairs in order. Pardons are more, I think, common than reprieves mostly these days, and tend to serve that function. Okay, these are some of the main duties of the president. There are quite a few, and here's our last one. This is not in the Constitution, of course, because there weren't any political parties that existed when the Constitution was first ratified. But the president is the official, or the de facto, the, I guess, unofficial leader of the party. The president sets the agenda for the party that they represent. So the leader of the Republican Party, if anyone would have to identify that person, would be Trump. And Trump has set the direction of the Republican Party. When George Bush was in office, he set the direction of the Republican Party. Both Republicans, slightly different directions. Joe Biden, if he becomes president, will be the sort of the de facto leader of the Democratic Party. He will set policy, he'll give speeches, etc. And his policy would be different than Bernie Sanders. So whoever gets elected president, whoever fulfills that role, can take the party in different directions and serve as their leader. So when you see, a congressperson or a senator maybe having a rally, and they'll call the president in. They'll say, hey, can you come help me out to rally the base? In other words, if I'm running for Congress and maybe things are close, maybe the president showing up gets the party excited and says that, hey, this is a good guy, you should come out and vote for him, and that helps me. By the same token, if the president isn't very popular as they're going into re-election, certain people may want to distance themselves from the party leader and try to establish themselves as a little more independent. That's happened numerous times with numerous presidents in the past. So those are the duties of the president. We're going to look at some articles with that and give you a little chance to reflect on all the different jobs and activities that the president does.